Hey guys, very good morning for 13th day of live of reading challenge, and there is something in my camera that is not getting zoomed out. Actually, it was earlier, it was like zoomed out, but suddenly something happened, I guess, and because of which, like, it's not zooming out. So I need to figure it out after this live, but it's okay for now because I'm looking good though. Let me check how is it looking. It's looking good, I guess. And so very good morning for our 13th day, and it's day 13 that we have been reading from, like, since for 30 days. It's very awesome that we have completed 12 days, and today is 13th day. That is very awesome. So that's all for introduction. Like, I'm not having most of the things in my mind to say, but yeah, that's all for introduction. And as yesterday when I was reading Mindsight, at the time I told you that we are going to read Why We Sleep, but as we started reading Hardwiring Happiness, at that time I realized that this book is good, although every book is good, but as we started reading and I felt that let's read it because I've been, like, feeling, I had been feeling easy to read Hardwiring Happiness. Easy in the sense that there are words, there are things that we sometimes we don't be able to pronounce. So in Hardwiring Happiness, there were so many words and sentences that was easy to read. So I just liked that. So let's start reading the same book. And if you are watching this live streaming, so be consistent. Let's grow together. Let's read together. It's not all about having challenges or all. It's all about, like, how much you are growing yourself. So it's a very awesome day today. Let's start reading and see how it goes. So let me open Hardwiring Happiness, and we are going to read introduction. And seriously, I need to figure out my camera setting. Sometimes it's very difficult. That why it is very getting zoom out and zoom in. But it's okay. So let's start introduction. If you are like me and many people, you go through each day zipping from one thing to another, but along the way, when is the last time you stopped for 10 seconds to feel and take one of the positive moments that happen in even the most hectic day? If you don't take those extra seconds to enjoy and stay with the experience, it passes through you like wind through the trees, momentarily pleasant but with no lasting value. This book is about one simple thing: the hidden power of everyday positive experiences to change your brain and therefore your life for the better. I'll show you how to turn good moments into a great brain, full of confidence, ease, comfort, self-worth, and feeling cared about. These are not $1 million moments, and they are simply the cozy feeling of a favorite sweater, pleasure in a cup of coffee, warmth from a friend, satisfaction after finishing a task, or love from your mate. A few times a day, a dozen seconds at a time, you'll learn how to take in the good, which will naturally grow more joy, calm, and strength inside you. But this practice and the science behind it are neither positive thinking nor another program for manufacturing positive experience, both of which are wasted on the brain. This is about transforming fleeting experiences into lasting improvements in your neural network. The inner strength we need for well-being, coping, and success are built from brain structure. Certainly, I guess something happened, and like the data, like I was not able to see my live streaming, so might be there could be some issues. So let it be, but before that, not before that. Negativity bias that makes it like a velcro for bad experiences but teflon for good ones. To solve this problem and build inner strength into your brain, you'll learn which positive experiences can meet your three essential needs for safety, satisfaction, and connection. As you build up inner peace, contentment, and love, you won't need to chase after pleasant events or struggle with unpleasant ones. You will increasingly enjoy a sense of wellness that's unconditional, not based on external conditions. Your brain is the most important organ in your body, and what happens in it determines what you think and feel, say, and do. Many studies show that your experiences are continually changing your brain one way or another. This is a book about getting good at changing your brain for the better. The brain is amazing, and you will learn a lot about it. In the first three chapters, I'll give you an overview of how your brain works, why you need to take charge of it, and how you can come home to your wonderful deep nature. Then, in the rest of the book, I'll show you many effective ways to take in good and become really skillful at this practice. You won't need a background in a neuroscience or psychology to understand these ideas. I have distilled them down to four simple steps with the acronym HEAL. Have a positive experience, enrich it, absorb it, link positive and negative material so that positive soothes and even replaces negative. The fourth step is optional. We will explore each step thoroughly and you will learn many practical down and you'll learn many practical down to earth ways right in the middle of the busy day to notice or create positive experiences and then view them into your mind, your brain, and your life. At the end of each chapter, there is a section called taking it in that summarizes the key points. And if you want to learn more about the science I have drawn upon or read my occasional side comments, see the reference notes and biography in the back of the book. I stumbled on how to take in the good while still in a college, and it changed my life. Now, 40 years later, in my work as a neuropsychologist, I have tried to develop this practice in depth. I have taught it to thousands of people, and many of them have sent me stories about how it's changed their lives as well. You will see some of these stories in italics in the chapter to come. I'm delighted to be able to share this powerful practice with you, and if you'd like to learn more about it, please see the freely offered resources at www.rickshansen.net. As a father, husband, psychologist, meditation teacher, and business consultant, I have learned that it's what we actually do, both inside the mind and out in the world, that makes the most difference. Therefore, you will see experiential methods for converting passing mental states into endurable. Enduring neural structure. Adapt my suggestions to your own needs. I hope you enjoy what you find in this book, which will help your discoveries sink into your brain and your life. Trust yourself. Taking in the good helps you see the good in yourself and in the world and other people. Growing good. Chapter first. Growing good. Going through school, I was a year or two younger than the other kids in my grade. I shy, a shy, skinny, nerdy boy with glasses. Nothing awful happened to me, but it felt like I was watching everyone else through a wall of glass. An outsider, ignored, unwanted, put down. My troubles were small compared to those of many other people, but we all have natural needs to feel seen and valued, especially as children. When these needs aren't met, it's like living on a thin soup. You will survive, but you won't feel fully nourished. For me, it felt like there was an empty place inside, a hole in my heart. But while I was in college, I stumbled on something that seemed remarkable then and still seems remarkable to me now. Some small thing would be happening. It could be a few guys saying, "Come on, let's go get pizza," or a young woman smiling at me. No, not a big deal. No, but I found that if I let the good fact become a good experience, not just an idea, and then stayed with it for at least a few breaths, not brushing it off or moving on fast to something else, it felt like something good was sinking into me, becoming a part of me. In effect, I was taking in the good a dozen seconds at a time. It was quick, easy, and enjoyable, and I started feeling better. In the beginning, the hole in my heart seemed as big as an empty swimming pool. But taking in a few experiences each day of being included, appreciated, cared about felt like tossing a few buckets of water into the pool. Day after day, bucket after bucket, month after month, I was gradually filling that hole in my heart. This practice lifted my mood and made me feel increasingly at ease, cheerful, and confident. Many years later, after becoming a psychologist, I learned why doing this seemingly small practice had made such a large difference for me. I had been weaving I had been weaving inner strength into the fabric of my brain, my mind, my life, which is what I mean by hardwiring happiness. Inner strength. I have liked a lot and have often had to depend on what was in my pack. Inner strengths are the supplies you got in your pack as you make your way down the twisting and often hard road of life. They include a positive mood, common sense, integrity, inner peace, determination, and warm heart. Researchers have identified other strengths as well, such as self-compassion, secure attachment, emotional intelligence, learned optimism, the relaxation response, self-esteem, distress, tolerance, self-regulation, resilience, and executive functions. I am using the word strength broadly to include positive feelings such as calm, contentment, and caring, as well as skill, youthful perspective and inclination, and embodied qualities such as vitality or relaxation. Unlike fleeting mental states, inner strengths are stable traits and an enduring source of well-being, wise and effective action, and contribution to others. The idea of inner strength might seem abstract at first. Let's bring it down to earth with some concrete examples. The alarm goes off and you would rather snooze, so you find the will to get up. Now let's say you have kids and they are squabbling and it's frustrating. So instead of yelling, you get in touch with that place inside that's firm but not angry. You are embarrassed about making a mistake at work, so you call up a sense of worth from past accomplishment. You get stressed racing around. So you find some welcome calm in several long exhalation. You feel sad about not having a partner, so you find some comfort in thinking about the friends you do have. Throughout your day, other inner strengths are operating automatically in the back of your mind, such as a sense of perspective, faith, or self-awareness. A well known idea in medicine and psychology is that how you feel and act, both over the course of your life and specific relationships and situations, is determined by three factors: the challenge you face, the vulnerabilities these challenges grind on, and the strengths you have for meeting your challenges and protecting your vulnerabilities. For example, the challenge of a critical boss would be intensified by a person's vulnerability to anxiety. But he or she could cope by calling on inner strengths of self-soothing and of feeling respected by others. We all have vulnerabilities. Personally, I wish it were not so easy for me to become worried and self-critical. And life has no end of challenges. Now, from minor hassles, uh, hassles like dropped cell phone caused old age, disease, and death. You need strength to deal with challenges and vulnerabilities, and as either or both of these grow, so must your strength to match them. If you want to feel less stressed, anxious, frustrated, irritable, depressed, disappointed, lonely, guilty, hurt, or inadequate, having more inner strength will help you. Inner strength are fundamental to happy, productive, and a loving life. For example, research on just one strength, positive emotions, shows that this reduces activity and stress, help heal psychological wounds, and improve resilience, well-being, and life satisfaction. Positive emotions encourage the pursuit of opportunities, create positive cycles, and promote success. Where they also strengthen your immune system, protect your heart, and foster a healthier and longer life. On average, about a third of a person's strength are innate, built into his or her genetically based temperament, talents, mood, and personality. The other two thirds are developed over time. You get them by growing them. To me, this is wonderful news since it means that we can develop the happiness and other inner strengths that foster fulfillment, love, effectiveness, wisdom, and inner peace. Finding out how to grow these strengths inside you could be the most important thing you ever learn. That's what this book is all about. Imagine that your mind is like a garden. You could simply be with it, looking at its weeds and flowers without judging or changing anything. Second, you could pull weeds by decreasing what's negative in your mind. Third, you could grow flowers by increasing the positive in your mind. See the box on this page. Now, for what I mean by positive and negative, in essence, you can manage your mind in three primary ways: let be, let go, let in. This book is about the third one, the cultivation of inner strengths. Growing flowers in the garden of the mind. To help you do this most effectively, I would like to relate it to the other two ways to approach your mind. What is positive? By positive and good, I mean what leads to happiness and benefit for oneself and others. Negative and bad mean what leads to suffering and harm. I am being pragmatic here, not moralistic nor religious. Positive experiences usually feel good, but some experiences that feel bad have good results. So now I'll refer to them as positive. For example, the pain of hand on a hurts too, the anxiety at not finding your child at park, and the remorse that helps us take the high road, make us feel bad now to help us feel better later. Similarly, negative experiences usually feel bad, but some experiences that feel good have bad result, and I'll call this negative. The buzz from the three beers or the vigilance in gossiping about someone who wronged you may feel momentarily pleasurable, but the costs outweigh benefits. The overweigh, I need to check it. Not overweigh. Behavior greater or more significant than. But the costs outweigh the benefits. Experiences like these make us feel good now, but worse later. Being with your mind, letting your mind be, simply observing your experience gives you relief and perspective. Like stepping out of movie screen and watching from 20 rows back, letting the stream of consciousness run on its own helps you stop chasing what is pleasant and struggling with what is unpleasant. Now you can explore your experience with interest and hopefully kindness toward yourself, and perhaps connect with the softer, more vulnerable, and possibly younger layers in your mind in the light of and accepting non-reactive awareness. Your negative thoughts and feelings can sometimes melt away like morning mist on a Sunday day. Working with your mind, but just being with your mind is not enough. You also need to work with it, making wise efforts, pulling weeds and growing flowers. Merely witnessing stress, worries, irritability, or a blue mood will not necessarily uproot any of these. As we'll see in the next chapter, the brain evolved to learn all too well from negative experiences, and it stores them in long lasting neural structures. Nor does being with your mind by itself grow gratitude, enthusiasm, honesty, creativity, or many other inner strengths. These mental qualities are based on underlying neural structures that don't spring into being on their own. Further, to be with your mind fully, you have got to work with it to grow inner strengths such as calm and insight that enable you to feel all your feelings and face your inner shadows even when it's hard. Otherwise, opening to your experience can feel like opening a trad door to hell. Staying mindful. Now, whether you are letting be, letting go, or letting in, be mindful, which simply means staying present moment by moment. Mindfulness itself only witnesses, but alongside that witnessing could be active, goal directed efforts to nudge your mind one way or another. Now, working with your mind is not at odds with mindfulness. In fact, you need to work with your mind to build up the inner strength of mindfulness. Now be mindful of both your outer world and your inner one, both the facts around you and how you feel about them. Mindfulness is not just self awareness. While rock climbing, I have been extremely mindful of my partner belaying me and looking out for me far below. A natural sequence. When something difficult or uncomfortable happens, when a storm comes to your garden, the three ways to engage your mind give you very useful step-by-step sequence. First, be with your experience, observe it and accept it for what it is, even if it's painful. Second, when it feels right, which could be a matter of seconds with the familiar worry, or a matter of months or years with the loss of loved one. Begin letting go of whatever is negative. For example, relax your body to reduce tension. Third, again, when it feels right, after you have released some or all of what was negative, replace it with something positive. For instance, you could remember what it's like to be with someone who appreciates you, and then stay with this experience for 10 or 20 seconds. Besides feeling good in the moment, this third step will have lasting benefits. For when you take in positive experiences, you are not only growing flowers in your mind, you are growing new neural circuits in your brain. You are hardwiring happiness. Experience dependent neuroplasticity. The brain is the organ that learns, so it is designed to be changed by your experiences. It still amazes me, but it's true. Whatever we repeatedly sense and feel and want and think is slowly but surely sculpting neural structure. As you read this in the 5 cups of tofu-like tissue inside your head, nested amid a trillion support cells, 80 to 100 billion neurons are signaling one another in a network with about a half a quadrillion connections called synapses. All this incredibly vast, complex, and dynamic neural activity is continually changing your brain. Active synapses may become more sensitive. New synapses start growing within minutes. Busy regions get more blood since they need more oxygen and glucose to do their work, and genes inside neurons turn on or off. Meanwhile, less active connection wither away in a process sometimes called neural Darwinism, the survival of busiest. All mental activities, sights and sounds, thoughts, feelings, conscious and unconscious processes is based on underlying neural activity. Much mental and therefore neural activity flows through the brain like ripples on a river with no lasting effects on its channel, but intense, prolonged or repeated mental or neural activity, especially if it is conscious, will leave an enduring imprint in neural structure like a surging current, reshaping a river bed. As they say in neuroscience, neurons that fire together wire together. Mental states become neural traits. Day after day, your mind is building your brain. Now, this is what scientists call experience dependent neuroplasticity, which is a hot area of research these days. For example, London taxi drivers memorizing the city's spaghetti snarl of streets have thickened neural layer in their hippocampus, the region that helps make visual spatial memories, as if they were building a muscle. These drivers worked a part of their brain and grew new tissues in there, moving from the cap to the cushion. Mindfulness meditators have increased gray matter, which means a thicker cortex, in three key regions: prefrontal areas behind the forehead that control attention, the insula which we use for tuning into ourselves and others, and the hippocampus. Your experience don't just grow new synapses, remarkable remarkable as that is by itself, but also somehow reach down into your genes, into little strips of atoms in the twisted molecules of DNA inside the nuclei of neurons, and change how they operate. Now, for instance, if you routinely practice relaxation, this will increase the activity of genes that calm down stress reaction, making you more resilient. Changing the brain for the better. If you step back from the detail of these studies, one simple truth stands out: your experiences matter, not just for how they feel in the moment, but for the lasting traces they leave in your brain. Your experiences of happiness, worry, love, and anxiety can make real changes in your neural networks. The structure building processes of the new nervous system are turbocharged by conscious experience, and especially by what's in the foreground of your awareness. Your attention is like a combination spotlight and vacuum cleaner. It highlights what it lands on and then sucks it into your brain, for better or worse. Now, there is a traditional saying that the mind takes its shape from what it rests upon. Based on what we have learned about experience dependent neuroplasticity, a modern version would be to say that the brain takes its shape from what the mind rests upon. If you keep resting your mind on self criticism, worries, grumbling about others, hurts, and stress, then your brain will be shaped into greater reactivity, vulnerability to anxiety, and depressed mood, a narrow focus on threats and losses, and inclination toward anger, sadness, and guilt. On the other hand, if you keep resting your mind on good events and conditions, someone was nice to you, there is a roof over your head. Now, pleasant feelings, now the feelings you do get done, physical pleasure, and your good intentions and qualities, then over time your brain will take a different shape. Now, one with strength and resilience hardwired into it, as well as a realistically optimistic outlook, a positive mood, and a sense of worth. Now, looking back over the past week or so, now where has your mind been mainly resting? In effect, the what you pay attention to, what you rest your mind on, is the primary shaper of your brain. While something naturally grab a person's attention, such as a problem at work, a physical pain, or a serious worry, on the whole, you have a lot of influence over where your mind rests. This means that you can deliberately prolong and even create the experiences that will shape your brain for the better. Now, I'll show you how to do this in detail, beginning in chapter 4. Meanwhile, feel free to start taking in the good right now. This practice, replied to positive experience, boils down to just 4 words: have it, enjoy it, and see for yourself what happens when you do. The experiences that serves you most, contemplating your mental garden these days, which flowers would be good to grow. Certain kinds of experiences will help you more than other will. Negative experiences might have value for a person. For instance, working the graveyard, shift in a bottling plant one summer while in a college toughened me up. But negative experiences have inherent negative side effects, such as psychological discomfort or the health consequences of stress. They can also create or worsen conflicts with others. When my wife and I were tired and fragile, raising two young children, we snapped at each other more often. The cost of negative experiences routinely outweigh their benefits, and often there is no benefit at all, just pain with no gain. Since neurons that fire together wire together, staying with a negative experience past the point that's useful is like running laps in hell. In hell, you dig the track a little deeper in your brain each time you go around it. On the other hand, positive experiences always have a gain and rarely have a pain. They usually feel good in the moment. Additionally, the most direct way to grow inner strength, such as determination, a sense of perspective, positive emotions, and compassion, is to have experiences of them in the first place. If you want to develop more gratitude, keep resting your mind on feeling thankful. If you want to feel more loved, look for and stay with experiences in which you feel included, seen, appreciated, liked, or cherished. The answer to the question of how to grow good things inside your mind is this: take in experiences of them. This will weave them into your brain, building up their neural circuits so you can take them with you wherever you go. Besides growing specific inner strength for yourself, taking in the good has built in general benefits such as being active rather than passive, treating yourself as if you matter, and strengthening your attention. Additionally, as we will see in chapter 3, over time you can gradually sensitize your brain to positive experiences so they become inner strengths more quickly and easily. Self directed neuroplasticity. A neurologist friend of mine once described the brain as 3 pounds of pudding. It looks like a gooey, unimpressive blob, but it's the master organ of the body and the primary internal source of your well-being. Everyday effectiveness, psychological healing, personal growth, creativity, and so success. Whether you feel angry or at ease, frustrated or fulfilled, lonely or loved, depends on your neural networks. Now, further, how brain interact is the basis of fulfilling relationships, successful organizations, thriving nations, and ultimately whether we live in a peaceful and sustainably prosperous world. Sometimes it happens that I'm not able to concentrate on the things because I'm getting very itch in my nose, which is making me very frustrating. In live I'm just doing this because like it's very frustrating, like literally. On the other hand, in quick, easy, and enjoyable ways, the science of experience depend. Whether you feel angry or at ease, frustrated or fulfilled, lonely or loved depends on your neural networks. Further, how brain interacts is the basis of fulfilling relationships, successful organizations, thriving nations, and ultimately whether we live in a peaceful and sustainably prosperous world. The science of experience dependent neuroplasticity shows that each person has the power to change his or her brain for the better. Now, what Jeffrey Schwartz has called self directed neuroplasticity. If you don't make use of this power yourself, use of this if you don't make use of this power yourself, the other forces will shape your brain for you, including pressures at work and home, technology and media. Pushy people, the lingering effects of painful past experiences, and as well as we will see in the next chapter, Mother Nature herself. On the other hand, in a quick, easy, and enjoyable ways, right in the flow of your day, you can use the power of self-directed neuroplasticity to build up a lasting sense of ease, confidence, self-acceptance, kindness, feeling loved, contentment, and inner peace. In essence, what you will do with the practices in this book is simple. Turn everyday good experiences into good neural structure. Putting it more technically, you will activate mental states and then install them as neural threads. When you need them, you will be able to draw on these neural threads, which are your inner strengths. The good growing in your mind. You will be using your mind to change your brain to change your mind for the better. Beat by beat, synapse by synapse, you really can build happiness into your brain. And by doing these, you will be overcoming its negativity bias. The brain is good at learning from bad experiences, but bad at learning from good ones. As you will see the next chapter, if the mind is like a garden, the soil of your brain is more fertile for weeds than for flowers. So it's really important to plant the seeds of inner strengths by repeatedly taking in the good. Taking it in. A person's inner strengths include peacefulness, contentment, and love, as well as resilience, confidence, determination, and insight. These strengths may help you cope with the hard things in life, recover from stress, heal or pain, maintain your well-being, get things done at home and work, and be patient and caring toward others. Most of your inner strengths are developed over time. This book is about growing inner strengths through positive experiences, which is hardwiring happiness. Simply observing your mind is extremely useful, but you also need to decrease what's negative and increase what's positive. My focus is on increasing the positive, growing flower in the garden of the mind, which means changing the structure of your brain. All mental activity, sights and sounds, joys and sorrows, is based on underlying neural activity. Repeated mental or neural activity leaves lasting changes in neural structure. Now, what is called experience dependent neuroplasticity. This means you can use your mind to change your brain to change your mind for the best, for the better. The best way to develop greater happiness and other inner strength is to have experiences of them and then help these good mental states become good neural traits. This is taking in the good, activating a positive experience and installing it in your brain. I'm getting literally so much frustration just because of my cold. I bath with cold water because of my electricity. Like I don't have power right now, so I had to bath with cold water. And if I bath in the morning with cold water, then definitely I'm gonna have much irritation because of my cold, because it comes very seamlessly, like it's rapidly. Chapter 2, Velcro for the Bat. More than 20 years ago, in a neuroscience class for psychologists, the professor walked in with a larger bucket, put on a pair of yellow rubber gloves, and with a flourish pulled out a preserved human brain. It looked like a small, spongy, yellowish cauliflower. As the professor droned on about it, I had weirdly dislocating experience. Think like the one in his hand over there was also in here inside my head, trying to make sense of what he was holding. It really hit me that this unimpressive looking thing was actually producing the sight of the bucket, the sound of the teacher, and my feelings of both awe and awe. Ah, yeah, every pleasure and pain I had, every love and loss was the result of activity within this glistening blob of flesh. Now, my brain was the final common pathway of all the causes streaming through me to make each moment of consciousness. Now, people have long asked why we are glad or sad, why we help or hurt each other. Sages and scientists have explored the mental causes of happiness and suffering. Now, for the first time in history, we can ask ourselves what are the underlying neural causes of these causes, and we can find answers in the structure and processes of the human brain as it has been shaped by evolution. The brain didn't spring into being overnight. It acquired its capabilities and tendencies over hundreds of millions of years, and the factors that shaped this long, impersonal history shows up in your life today in very personal ways. Suppose you got 20 things done today and made one mistake. What is likely to stick with you as you are falling asleep? Probably the mistake, even though it was just a small part of your day. As you'll see, the reason for this is found in the brain's evolution. By learning how your brain has been built over time, You'll understand yourself and others better. Plus, you will become more effective at using and shaping that blobby cauliflower like extraordinary thing inside your own head. The evolving brain. Every human being shares common ancestors with bats, begonias, and bacteria that go back at least 3.5 billion years to the very first microorganism. Multi-celled creature emerged in the ancient seas 650 million years ago, and after 50 million more years, they had grown complicated enough that they began to develop a nervous system to coordinate their sensory and motor system. Mammals arose about 200 million years ago, and the first primates about. Hey, hi Fatima, good morning. Uh, Very welcome to the live streaming. Today we are reading Hardwiring, the new book. Uh, because earlier we finished Mindset, so it's our second book of challenge of 90 days, and we already have finished the first book and we are reading the second book. That's very awesome, and let's read together. If you are reading, let's grow together. And sorry for my cold, it's very frustrating for me and might be it's for you, so bear with me. And the first primates about 60 million years ago. By 2.5 million years ago, our hominid ancestor Homo habilis was intelligent enough to begin making stone tools and our own species. Thank you very much for appreciating it, and yeah, it's very amazing that if you are going to read every day, it feels awesome when you complete your each day challenge. Then you'll feel, oh, you did something, you achieved something, even if it's very small steps. But it makes you feel better when you complete your day and you see at your days that you have completed, you have achieved, like say 13 days of your challenge, and you are reading. That's very awesome. So yeah, let's grow together, let's read together. That will be very awesome. And by 2.5 million years ago, our hominid ancestor Homo habilis was intelligent enough to begin making stone tools, and our own species, Homo sapiens, the clever ape, emerged about 200,000 years ago. Over the last 600 million years, solution to survival problems faced by creatures ranging from jellyfish and clams to lizards, mice, monkeys, and early humans have gotten built into the evolving nervous system. The brain has roughly tripled in volume over the past several million years, while being carved by the intense pressure of natural selection, not a neural selection. Yep, thank you very much again. Over 600 billion years ago, where I was reading. Over the last 600 million years, solution to survival problems faced by creatures ranging from jellyfish and clams to lizards, mice, monkeys, and early humans have gotten built into the evolving nervous system. The brain has roughly tripled in volume over the past several million years, while being carved by the intense pressure of natural selection. Our hominid and human predecessors lived in small hunting and gathering bands until organized farming began about uh, until organized farming began about 10,000 years ago. Their world was pristine and beautiful, and there was a simplicity and easy-going pace, and a time for relationship that many long for today. Nonetheless, the survival challenges they had to manage, such as the prospect of being attacked and eaten by predators, were very different from our own. Because they lived in small bands. It was uncommon for them to meet people they didn't know, and often dangerous when they did. While some bands interacted peacefully with each other, on average, about 1 in 8 men died in conflict between bands compared to 1 in 100 men who died due to warfare in the 20th century. There were also starvation, parasites, illness, injuries, the hazards of childbirth, and no painkillers or police departments. This world was the home of the human brain, which was painstakingly adapted to its conditions. The results live on between your ears today, continuing to shape your experiences and guide your actions. Bad is stronger than good. To pass on their genes, our reptilian, mammalian, primate, hominid, and human ancestors had to get things that were pleasurable, such as the carrots of shelter, food, and sex. Meanwhile, they had to stay away from things that were painful, such as the sticks of predators, starvation, and aggression from other of their species. Carrots and sticks are both important, but there is a vital difference between them. From a survival standpoint, sticks have more urgency and impact than carrots. If you fail to get a carrot today, you'll have another chance to get one tomorrow. But if you fail to avoid a stick today, well, no more carrots forever. Rule first in the wild is eat lunch today. You don't be lunch today. Over hundreds of millions of years, it was a matter of life and death to pay extra attention to sticks, react to them intensely, remember them well, and over time become even more sensitive to them. Consequently, the brain evolved a built in negativity bias. While this bias emerged in a harsh setting, very different from our own, it continues to operate inside us today as we drive in traffic, head into a meeting, settle a sibling squabble, try to diet, watch the news, juggle housework, pay bills, or go on date. Your brain has a hair trigger readiness to go negative to help you survive. Looking out for you. For starters, your brain is always on the lookout for potential dangers or losses, which is why news programs typically start their shows with the latest murder or disaster. As they say in journalism, if it bleeds, it leads. Over the course of evolution, animals that were nervous driven, and clinging were more likely to pass on their genes, and these inclinations are now woven into our DNA. Even when you feel relaxed and happy and connected, your brain keeps scanning for potential dangers, disappointments, and interpersonal issues. Consequently, in the back of your mind, there is usually a subtle but noticeable sense of unease, dissatisfaction, and separation to motivate this vigilance. Then, when the least little thing goes wrong or could be trouble, the brain zooms in on it with a kind of tunnel vision that downplays everything else. If your boss gives you an excellent performance review that contains just one piece of critical feedback in a bucket of praise, you will likely focus on that one negative moment. Negative stimuli are perceived more rapidly and easily than positive stimuli. We recognize angry faces more quickly than happy ones. In fact, the brain will react even without your conscious awareness when another person's face is angry. The power of pain. Bad, painful, upsetting experiences routinely overpower good, pleasurable, comforting ones. The psychologist Daniel Kahneman received a Nobel Prize in economics for showing that most of us will do more to avoid a loss than to acquire an equivalent gain. A lasting intimate relationship usually need at least 5 positive interaction to balance every negative one. People really begin to thrive when positive moments outnumber negative ones by at least 3 to 1 ratio, and ideally higher. Negative contaminates positive more than positive purifies negative. For example, a misdeed will harm a hero's reputation more than a good deed will improve a villain's. The extra impact of the bad on your mind is based on its extra power in your brain, which responds more intensely to unpleasant things than to equally intense pleasant ones. In one middle of your head, the central circuit of overactivity has three parts to it: the amygdala, hypothalamus, and hippocampus. The almond-sized amygdala does respond to positive events and feelings, but in most people, it is activated more by negative ones. Think about the time that someone, perhaps your parent, partner, or a coworker, got angry with you and you felt anxious about it. The other person's anger activated your amygdala somewhat like a charging lion would have a million years ago. To begin a fight or flight response, your amygdala sent alarm signals to your hypothalamus, and to sympathetic nervous system control center in your brainstem. Your hypothalamus sent out an urgent call for adrenaline, cortisol, norepinephrine, and other stress hormones. Now your heart was beating faster. Your thoughts were speeding up, and you started feeling rattled or upset. Your hippocampus formed an initial neural trace of the experience. What happened, who said what, and how you felt, and then guided its consolidation in cortical memory networks so you could learn from it later. Connected by the neural equivalent of a four-lane superhighway, your activated amygdala commanded your hippocampus to prioritize this stressful experience for the storage, even making new baby neurons to be in effect forever fearful. Vicious circles. Over time, negative experiences make the amygdala even more sensitive to the negative. This snowballing effect occurs because the cortisol that the amygdala signals the hypothalamus to call for senders the bloodstream and flow into your brain, where it stimulates and strengthens the amygdala. Now the alarm bell of your brain rings more easily and more loudly, making matters worse even after the danger has passed or turns out to be a false alarm. It takes many minutes to metabolize cortisol out of your body. For example, you may have had a close call while driving and still felt revved up and shaken 20 minutes later. In the meantime, in a one-two punch, the cortisol in your brain overstimulates, weakens, and eventually kills cells in your hippocampus, gradually shrinking it. This is a problem because the hippocampus helps you put things in perspective while also calming down your amygdala and telling your hypothalamus to quit calling for stress hormones. So now it's harder to put the one thing going wrong in the cortex of the many things going right, plus harder to settle down a runway amygdala and hypothalamus. Consequently, feeling stressed, worried, and irritated or hurt today makes you more vulnerable to feelings stressed, etc. Tomorrow, which makes you really vulnerable the day after that. Negativity leads to more negativity in very vicious circle. Paper tiger paranoia. Paranoia. Paper tiger paranoia. One aspect of the negativity bias is so important that it deserves particular attention. The special power of fear. Our ancestors could make two kinds of mistakes. One, thinking there was a tiger in the bushes when there wasn't one, and thinking there was no tiger in the bushes when there actually was one. The cost of the first mistake was needless anxiety, while the cost of the second one was death. Consequently, we evolved to make the first mistake 1,000 times to avoid making the second mistake even once. Now, people do still make the second mistake. Personally, I don't floss my teeth often enough, and I drive too fast. A variation on the second mistake is to be overly optimistic about likely benefits compared to their costs. For example, many gamblers and rock star hopeful inflate the chance of a payoff, but underestimate threats, underestimate opportunities, and underestimate resources, both for coping with threats and for fulfilling opportunities. Then we update these beliefs with information that confirm them while ignoring or rejecting information that doesn't. There are even regions in the amygdala specifically designed to prevent the underlearning of fear, especially from childhood experiences. As a result, we ended up preoccupied by threats that are actually smaller or more manageable than we had feared, while overlooking opportunities that are actually greater than we had hoped for. In effect, we have got a brain that's prone to paper tiger paranoia. Paranoia. The biologically best tendencies are intensified by multiple factors. Consider your temperament. Some people, like me, are constitutionally more anxious than others. Also, think about your personal history. Alarming or painful life experiences, especially traumatic ones, naturally make a person more fearful. If you grew up in a dangerous neighborhood and had angry or unpredictable parents, or were bullied in school, it's normal to still be watchful even if you now live in a safe place with nice people. Your current situations make a difference too. Perhaps you live with someone who can fly off the handle without cause, or you are being harassed at work. The economy plays a role as well. Understandably, people feel unsettled, or worse, when money is tight and daily life is racing and pressured. And throughout history, political groups have played on fears to gain or hold on to power. Now, what's your own experience of fear? It ranges from mild watchfulness, caution, apprehension, and uneased worries. Anxiety, obsessing, panic, and terror. And what role does fear plays in your life? When we are afraid, we dream smaller dreams, speak less freely, cling tighter to us, and feel more fear and anger toward them. Because others are just as vulnerable to the power of fear as we are. Our actions, when frightened, feel threatening to them, so they overact it, making us feel more afraid than ever. Velcro and Teflon. Actually, the thing is that I didn't sleep too much and I'm getting sleepy just because of reading, I guess. Like, I slept for mm, 5 to 6 hours, I guess. And just because of that, right now I'm feeling very sleepy. But it's okay. I'm also enjoying reading today. Like, I almost read for 1 hour without like interrupting or saying the things most of the time. What happens whenever I read at the time, I usually say most of the things or share the things with you when I think about something. But today what happens, I was completely immersed into reading, so I didn't get the thoughts. I was not thinking about anything. I was completely immersed and I was enjoying reading. I was just trying to understand what author is conveying to us. So it was very awesome when you are completely immersed in reading or immersed in the thing that you are working on or you are doing. You are not thinking about anything. So when it happens, you feel literally damn good. So that is what right now happening with me. The negativity bias also affects the structure building processes of your brain. Here is how this works. As we have seen, what flows through your mind changes your brain. The result is two kinds of learning, two kinds of memory, explicit and implicit. Explicit memory has all your personal recollections from when you were a young child to whatever was going on 10 minutes ago. This recollection tend to be positively biased the farther back in time you go. Now, for example, I know logically that my feet must have been killing me in tight climbing shoes on a long route in Yosemite. But all I remember is how great it felt to stand on top with my friend. Explicit memory also includes what's called declarative knowledge, which is kind of encyclopedia of information about things such as what bicycle is, the shape of earth, and your social security number. Implicit memory includes procedural knowledge, which is how to do things. Now, from riding that bicycle to navigating a delicate conversation with a friend, it also contains your assumptions and expectations, emotional residues of lived experience, the models of relationships, values and inclinations, and the whole inner atmosphere of your mind. It's like a vast storehouse holding most of your inner strengths as well as most of your feelings of inadequacy, unfulfilled longings, defensiveness, and the old pen. What gets put into this storehouse is the foundation of how you feel and function. Its contents usually have much more impact on your life than the contents of your explicit memory. Unfortunately, the information of implicit memory is negatively biased. Uncomfortable experiences are immediately fast tracked into memory stores. Now, once burnt, twice shy, we usually learn faster from pain than from pleasure. Strong dislikes are acquired faster than strong likes. In the relationships, trust is easy to lose and hard to regain. Something bad about a person is better remembered than something good, which is why negative ads dominate political campaigns. Whether between family members or nations, long remembered grievances fuel long running conflicts. Just a handful of painful experiences of futility can rapidly become a sense of helplessness, a major factor in depression, and a person usually needs many times as many counter experiences of effectiveness in order to regain a sense of confidence and capability. One way or another, negative mental states can easily become negative neural threats. On the other hand, unless it's intense or novel, most good news has little or no sting effect on implicit memory systems in the brain. Now, this happens for three reasons. Now, first, we tend to look past the good news because we are busy solving problems or scanning for something to worry about. Ordinary good facts are all around. Birds are calling, people are smiling, hearts are still beating, and we don't give them much attention. Second, when we do recognize a good fact, it often fails to become a good experience. We finish a task, good fact, and then shift to the next one with a little sense of accomplishment. Now, someone offers a compliment and it's brushed aside. We hear the children laughing, but it doesn't lift our heads. Third, even if you do notice a good fact, and even if it does become a good experience, it probably does not get converted into neural structure stored in implicit memory unless they are $1 million moments. Positive experiences use standard issue memory system in which new information must be held in short-term buffers long enough for it to transfer to long-term storage. Long enough depends on the experience and the person, but loosely speaking it's at least a few seconds, and the longer the better. In effect, you have to keep resting your mind on positive experiences for it to shape your brain. But how often do we stay with a positive experience for 5, 10, or 20 seconds in a row, long or longer? I sure didn't until I began appreciating the importance of deliberately taking in the good and gradually filling the hole in my heart. Suppose something has happened and you feel peaceful, contented, or loved. Would you typically keep open to this feeling for, let's say, 10 seconds, keeping it alive in your awareness, sinking into it as it sinks into you? Most people wouldn't, but if you are not doing this much, if not all of the value available in this experience will be lost. Your brain is like velcro for negative experiences, but Teflon for positive ones. A tough synthetic resin made by polymerizing a fast turner for clothes or other items consisting of two strips. It's name of clothes, I guess. The name of clothes, I guess. Wasted efforts. Unless you consciously take in a good experience, it usually washes through your brain like water through a sieve, leaving little good behind. In the meantime, your bad experiences are being caught in the sieve by negatively biased implicit memory. The experience felt good, but from the standpoint of building neural structure, it may as well not have happened. Now, this is the central weakness in most formal program of stress management, human resources training, character education for children, mindfulness or compassion training, coaching, psychotherapy, and drug and alcohol treatment. Informally, managers, educators, and parents encounter the same problem. With skill and effort, we create beneficial mental states. Each time this happens, it's good in moment, but in most cases, we don't consistently and systematically take the extra seconds to install these experiences in the brain. Now, I'm talking about myself here too. Now, as a therapist, it's been humbling and troubling to realize that large fraction of the positive thoughts and feelings that I helped my clients to access have produced to little enduring benefit of them for them. The effects of the negativity bias are also frustrating and disheartening for the learner, I have been as well, which I have been as well. You could be in a structured situation. Example: leadership training, AA, part parenting class, or informally just trying to feel less worried, blue, or stressed. You work hard to get something good going in your mind, some calming happiness or feeling, and then few hours later or sooner, sadly, it's as if it never happened. It's like struggling to push a heavy stone uphill only to have it roll down again. The negativity bias is not our fault. We didn't create it. Still, we can do something about it. Leveling the playing field. The negativity bias doesn't mean you can't be happy, but if you are happy in spite of it. It's a bias. The ready to spring into action depending on events. When you feel good, it waits in the background, looking for a reason to make you feel bad. When you feel bad, it makes you feel worse. These bias creates two kinds of problem. First, it increases the negative. It pulls your attention to what is or could be bad. It makes you overacted to it and stores the negative experience in implicit memory. It also creates vicious circles of negativity both inside your brain and with other people. In a variety of ways, this bias increases your stresses, worries, frustrations, irritations, hurts, sorrows, feelings of falling short, understand and conflicts with others. Second, the negativity bias decreases the positive. It slides your attention past the good facts around you. It makes you underreact to the good facts you do notice. It sleeps in the good experiences you do have it through your brain, leaving little or no trace behind. This bias is a kind of bottleneck that makes it harder to get happiness into your brain. The interest rate in a saving account determines how much you gain financially each day. Which would you rather have, a low rate or a high one? Similarly, the conversion rate of positive mental states or to positive neural traits determine how much you gain psychologically each day. Here, too, which would you rather have, a low rate or a high one? Unfortunately, the negativity bias lowers this conversation rate, which flatten your gains in life, your happiness, contribution to others, and success. In effect, the negativity bias is titled toward immediate survival, but against quality of life, peaceful and fulfilling relationships, and lasting mental and physical health. This is the default setting of the Stone Age brain. If we don't take charge of it, it will continue to take charge of us. Tilting toward the positive simply levels the playing field, taking in the good corrects for the two tendencies of the negativity bias. This practice decreases negativity feelings, thoughts, and actions while increasing positive ones, and over time, taking in the good can help you experience what that your core needs for safety, satisfaction, and connections are finally fully met. We will explore how to do this in the next chapter, taking it in. Throughout history, people have wondered about the causes of suffering and happiness as they appeared in the mind. Now we are beginning to understand how our experiences are produced by the underlying structures and processes of the brain. The nervous system has been evolving for 600 million years, and solution to survival problem faced by ancient reptiles, mammals, primates, and humans are active in your brain today. To survive and pass on their genes, our ancestors needed to be spatially aware of dangers, losses, and conflicts. Consequently, the brain evolved a negativity bias that looks for bad news, reacts intensely to it, and quickly stores the experience in neural structure. Now we can still be happy, but this bias creates an ongoing vulnerability to stress, anxiety, disappointment, and hurt. A key aspect of the negativity bias is the spatial power of fear. We routinely overestimate threats and underestimate opportunities and resources. At the same time, negative experience sensitize the brain to the negative, making it easier to have even more negative experience in vicious circle. Inner strengths such as happiness and resilience come mainly from positive experiences, but unless we pay sustained attention to them, the most positive experiences flow through our brains like water through a sieve. They are momentarily pleasant but leave little lasting value in terms of changing neural structure. The brain is like Velcro for negative experiences but Teflon for positive ones. While the negativity bias is good for survival in harsh conditions, it's lousy for quality of life, fulfilling relationships, personal growth, and long-term health. It makes us over learn from bad experiences and underlearn from good ones. The best way to compensate for the negativity bias is to regularly take in the good. Chapter 3. We have completed two chapters of hardwiring happiness. That's very awesome. And we learned about brain, that how our brain tend to go for negativity, not positivity, because of our, like, the survival of fittest, it just evolving itself to, like, to survive, I can say, in my perspective. Humans have long wondered about human nature. From ancient poets to ordinary people today looking out at the ocean or up to the stars, asking, "Whom am I?" The answer matters for many reasons. If bottom we are fighters and fleas, greedy and addictive and envious and mean spirited, then we need to be kept in line by powerful authority figures, strict rules, and a heavy guilt and shame. On the other hand, if underneath it all we are even killed, grateful and warm-hearted, then we can live more freely, more guided by our own consciousness, conscience and caring. Until recently, fact-based answers to fundamental questions about human nature were few and far between. But research in evolutionary neuropsychology and related fields is beginning to offer some clear answer that shows how to find a lasting sense of security, fulfillment and loving closeness. So let's explore your brain's three operating systems, the two setting of these systems, and one practice taking in the good that can bring you home to happiness. This material can get a little technical, but I think you will find, as I have, that it is a really useful and hopeful way to understand yourself and others. And starting in the next chapter, we will get into very practical ways to turn everyday good experiences into lasting happiness and other inner strengths. Three operating systems. To simply a long and elaborate process, your brain developed in three stages that are loosely associated with the reptile, mammal, and primate, human phase of evolution. The three layers of your brain were built from the bottom up, like the three floors of a house. Your brain stem emerges from the top of your spinal cord. It manages fundamental survival functions such as breathing and energizes and guides behavior. The subcortex rests atop your brainstem and spreads across the middle of your head. It is the center of emotion, motivation, and bonding. The cortex is the outer shell of your brain and it enables abstract reasoning, reflecting about the past and future, and key social abilities such as empathy, language and cooperative planning. Meanwhile, roughly in parallel with the building of three floors of the brain, the autonomic nervous system was also evolving along with the very important vagus nerve. The oldest branch of the vagus nerve supports the parasympathetic wing of your autonomic nervous system, which is calming and inhibiting and can also promote withdrawal or freezing around threats, complementing and often opposing the influence of the parasympathetic nervous system. And the first branch of the vagus nerve, the sympathetic wing of your autonomic nervous system, is energizing and exciting. It promotes both the sustained pursuits of opportunities and fighting and fleeing in response to threats. The most recent and unique mammalian branch of the vagus nerve supports the social engagement system. Its tendrils extend down into the heart and other organs and up into the larynx to modulate your tone of voice and into the head to guide your facial expressions. As the brain evolved, so did its capabilities to meet our three core needs: safety, satisfaction, and connection, through res- respectively three operating systems that avoid harms, approach rewards, and attach to others. I have drawn on and adapted the influential work of Paul MacLean, Jack Pansep, Stephen Porges, Paul Gilbert, and E. Torrey Higgins for this model. Now, this sounds complex, but really life is full of simple examples. Imagine going out to see a friend for dinner. On your way to the restaurant, you avoid harms such as running red light. Once you sit down to the table, you approach rewards like something good to eat. As you talk with your friend, you feel more connected, more attached to him or her. To summarize, in general terms, you were avoiding harms. In general terms, your avoiding harm system is linked to the brain system, to the oldest branch of the vagus nerve, to the parasympathetic nervous system, and to the earliest stages of vertebrate evolution, evolving fish, amphibians, and reptiles. Your approaching reward system is linked to the subcortex, to the sympathetic nervous system, and to the mammalian stage of evolution. And your attaching to other system is linked to the cortex, to the most recent branch of the vagus nerve, and to the primate and especially human stage of evolution. To complicate things, the sympathetic nervous system can also be used to avoid harms through fighting and fleeing, and the mammalian stage of evolution certainly supports complex social behaviors. It's a little silly, but it helps me to think of my own mind as containing a kind of lizard, mouse, and monkey related to the avoiding, approaching, and attaching systems. We meet our core needs for safety, satisfaction, and connections when we metaphorically pet the lizard, feed the mouse, and hug the monkey. Of course, no, we can't take metaphor like these too seriously. Today, the three operating systems, avoiding, approaching, and attaching, use your brain as a whole to accomplish their aims. They are defined by the functions they serve, not by their anatomy. While these functions are rooted in ancient biological imperatives, swim away from a predator, eat a carrot, make a baby, they play out today in a ways that would astonish a caveman, let alone a goldfish, gopher, or gorilla. For instance, the attaching to others system clicks into gear, whether it's a school girl putting on high school girl putting on makeup before the prom. Now, bonopause picking lies of each other. Prairie wolves experiencing elevated oxytocin levels in the presence of their mates, or a salmon swimming upstream to spawn. In effect, your experience life from inside a home that's taken hundreds of billions of years to build. Each operating system has its own sets of abilities, mental activities, and behaviors. For the details, see table first. Features of the avoiding, approaching, and attaching systems. One system can use the other two to serve its purpose. For example, to avoid the harm of someone breaking into your home, you could approach a hardware store to get a bolt rock for your door and attach to a big dog. Two or three of these systems can be running at the same time. Shopping at a market, you could be joking with your preschooler who is riding in the cart, attaching while getting groceries, approaching and staying out of the aisle with cookies. Avoiding table feature of the avoiding, approaching, and attaching system. Characteristics: need, avoiding safety, approaching characteristic challenge, avoiding threat. Key area of brain. I have found it very useful to become more aware of when one of my core needs, safety, satisfaction, and connection, is being taken care of, what that system feels like when it's operating, and as we will explore in the next chapter, how to take in the key experiences that will especially help that particular system, the avoiding, approaching, and attaching system manage how we meet challenges, and they organize and direct most of our experiences and actions. They pretty much run the show, and they do so in two very distinct and very far reaching ways. The responsive mode. Imagine a day in which you feel generally fine. After waking up, you spend a few minutes in bed lightly thinking ahead about some of the people you will see and the things you will do. You hit traffic on the way to work, but you don't fight it. You just listen to the radio and don't let the other drivers bother you. You may not be excited about your job, but today you are forcing on the sense of accomplishment and you feel as you complete each task. On the way home, your partner calls and asks you to stop at the store. It's not your favorite thing to do after work, but you remind yourself it's just 15 extra minutes in the evening. You look forward to a TV show and you enjoy watching it. Now let's look at the same day, but imagine approaching it in a different way. After waking up, you spend a few minutes in a bed pessimistically anticipating the day ahead and thinking about how boring work will be. Today, the traffic really gets under your skin, and when a car cuts you off, you get angry and honk your horn. You are still rankled by the incident when you start work, and to make matters worse, you have unbelievable number of road tasks to get through. By the time you are driving home, you feel fried and don't want to do a single extra thing. Your partner calls to ask you to stop at the store. You feel put upon but don't say anything. But and go to the store. Then you spend much of the evening idly seething that you do all the work around the house. Your favorite show is on, but it's hard to enjoy watching it. You feel so tired and irritated over these two imaginary days. The same exact thing happened. All that was different was now how your brain dealt with them, the setting that it used. Each of your brain's operating system has essentially two settings, responsive and reactive. As long as you experience that the core need system handles needs basically being met, then that system default to its responsive setting. When you feel safe, you were avoiding harms, the system enters its responsive mode, which brings feelings of relaxation, calm, and peace. When you feel satisfied, your approaching a reward system shifts into its responsive setting, with feelings such as gratitude, gladness, accomplishment, contentment. And when you feel connected, you are approaching to you are approaching you are attaching to other system goes responsive, evoking feelings of belonging, intimacy, compassion, kindness, worth, and love. For simplicity, I think of these as the green setting of your brain. In the responsive mode, you meet challenges without them becoming stressors. Events occur, even hard ones. But there is a kind of shock observer in your brain that stops them from rattling you. You deal with threat, loss, or rejection without getting carried along by a feeling of fear, frustration, or heartache. You are still engaged with life and sometimes handling very difficult things, but on the basis of an underlying sense of security, fulfillment, and feeling cared about. In other words, when your brain is not disturbed by threat, loss, or rejection, it settles into its resting state, its responsive mode. Neurochemical systems involving oxytocin, natural opioids, regions such as the subgenual cingulate cortex and neural networks such as the parasympathetic nervous system intimate and maintain this balanced, sustainable, homeostatic condition in it, you will often feel at ease, relaxed, and relatively calm, while moderate to high PNS activation slow your heart rate, lower blood pressure, promote digestion, and replenishes your body, brain, and mind. It's also possible to be active and energized in the responsive mode with more sympathetic nervous system activation. Mammals, including us, become friendly, playful, curious, and creative when they feel safe, satisfied, and connected. When the lights on your brain dashboard are green, you can still be strong and determined, asserting yourself, pursuing your goals with enthusiasm, standing up to injustice, living with passion, making love, creating art, cheering on your children, and howling happily at the moon on a good night with friends. Whether you are quiet or active, your emotion in this mode remain generally positive. Table 2 summarizes the responsive mode of the avoiding, approaching, and attaching systems. In this mode, you are not pressured or rattled. Nothing is out of whack. There is a sense of ease, comfort, ongoing, rightness. Things may not be great, but they are okay, and you are basically fine. You know what this feels like because it is your resting state. When there is no fundamental sense of deficit or disturbance, it is your natural home base. You don't have to scratch and claw or way to it. When whatever felt frightening, frustrating, or hurtful comes to an end, you will soon come home to the lovely green meadow that has always been there, even if it was hidden for a while by the fogs and shadows of an unsettled mind. Now, this is who you most essentially are, which is both inspiring and relief to know. Table 2 responsive mode of the avoiding, approaching, and attaching system. It's good to be. Your brain is the master regulator of your body. In its responsive mode, it tells your body to conserve energy and to refuel and repair itself. Our ancestor evolved this setting of the brain to prevent, manage, and recover from depleting and damaging bursts of stressful activity. For example, the endorphins, other natural opioids, and nitric oxide that are released when your brain goes green kill bacteria, relieve pain, and reduce inflammation. Unlike pathogenic processes that cause bad health, the salutogenic responsive mode causes good health. Responsive type experiences prepare your mind and brain and body to meet future challenges in a responsive way. The responsive mode evolved to be pleasurable in order to motivate our ancestor to seek it. It feels good because it is good. When your mind is in the green zone, your neural network are no longer in a state of deficit or disturbance, and your hypothalamus becomes less active. As the central controller of thirst, hunger, lust, and other drives quiets down, so does your sense of lack, pressure, and demand. In your brain as a whole, there is a less and less basis for aversion, grasping, and clinging. In a word, craving, broadly defined as deficit and disturbance-based motivations, fall away. So do worry and irritability, disappointment and drivenness, hurt and shame. As you rest more and more fully in the responsive mode, the underlying neurobiological causes of stress, fear, frustrations, and heartache suffering also broadly defined, are gradually extinguished, already feeling basically safe and strong, accomplished and grateful and respected and liked. You are more able to be fair-minded, compassionate, and dangerous toward others. Your natural lovingness becomes unobstructed and can flow freely, nourished by the sense of your own core needs being met. The green brain is contagious. When you come from a responsive place, it helps draw others there as well. When you are not irritated, pushy, or needy, you are less likely to provoke others. When you feel centered, it is harder for others to provoke you. Positive circle grow. Now, when a relationship goes green, it can still have misunderstandings, bumps, and conflicts, but they are handled in a responsive way. People can also treat each other this way in families, groups, and organizations. Challenges are faced, competitions and confrontations occur, but on a foundation of empathy and goodwill. Your natural resting state, the responsive mode of your brain, is the foundation of psychological healing, everyday well-being, and effectiveness. Long-term health, fulfilling relationships, and the highest reaches of human potential. And every time you take in the good and experience that your core needs are being met, you strengthen the neural substrates of this mode. You could even be sensitizing your brain to positive experiences so that it will turn them increasingly quickly into neural structure, a velcro for the good. Now, as our ancestors evolved, they had to respond to things that mattered, that were salient. Is it a stick? Avoid it. Is it a carrot? Approach it. Is it a friendly member of my species? Attach to it. Consequently, the brain evolved a salience network that reacts to good news, like the face of a friend, and to bad news, like the smell of smoke inside a building. Now, this network tells you what's relevant, what you should care about and remember. Its message guides the executive control network centered in the prefrontal cortex behind and above your forehead, which shapes your actions, words, and thoughts. If you have been stressed, your salience network becomes sensitized to bad news. Now you are on red alert. This negative sensitization might help you survive, but it also makes you feel bad and overreact. On the other hand, by taking in the good, you could sensitize your salience network to good news, in effect putting it on green alert. Your brain can become sensitized to the good in a variety of ways. The upper and frontal parts of your cingulate cortex are like an internal bell that rings if you deviate from a goal or plan. Better get back on track regularly. Looking for opportunities to take in the good could train this part of your brain to keep aiming you in the direction of positive experiences. Or take the insula, which is continually listening to your body as it tells the brain how it's doing. The central functions of your body are usually doing just fine, even if there are some aches or a wonky digestion. Repeatedly tuning into a mild but pleasant state of physical well-being, such as experiencing that there is plenty of air to breathe, could sensitize your insula to a viscerally important positive experience that is available with each breath. And of course, there is the amygdala, in many ways the hub of the salience network. Your amygdala reacts to both bad news and good news. Less amygdala reactivity to the bad would help you feel less anxious or angry, but it would not by itself make you more happy. For that, you need stronger reaction to the positive. You need what Will Cunningham has called a joyful amygdala. In terms of amygdala activation, people seem to belong to one of three groups. Some react equally strongly to positive and negative stimuli. Others have a grumpy amygdala that reacts more to negative stimuli than to positive ones. Risks and pains have more impact than opportunities and pleasures. A third group has stronger amygdala reaction to positive stimuli than to negative ones. These people, the ones with joyful amygdala, are more focused on promoting the good than on preventing the bad. Now, this is called the an approach orientation, which has numerous benefits for physical and mental health, relationships, and success. Now, these people also have relatively high positive emotions compared to people in other two groups. In fact, these happier individuals have more amygdala stimulation into the nucleus accumbens, a control center deep in the brain that initiates actions toward a person's goals. In effect, happiness encourages us to take practical steps toward our dreams. Why would the brain have evolved the capacity to turn a grumpy amygdala into a joyful one? The amygdala quickly becomes. Oh, 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 oh. No, I'm right. Grumpy amygdala into a joyful ones. The amygdala quickly becomes sensitized to negative experiences through vicious circles involving the stress hormones cortisol. This helped our ancestors survive in tough conditions by highlighting the threats around them, making their brains like velcro for the bad. But in good conditions, whether in the jungle millions of years ago or in the lives of most people today, it would be adaptive for survival to sensitize the amygdala to positive experiences, which would hide the approach to opportunities and help make the brain like velcro for the good. Today, like I didn't see a single person who is joining the live streaming. Not a single person actually. Like there were some of the three, some I guess like three people who joined, three the persons who joined the live streaming, and like. But besides that, no one has joined, I guess, and. Sometimes like it feels like as we are reading the brain book, so it's an obvious thing that we should know about ourselves, that if in certain situation, if something happened, then how we are going to feel, or what will the things will be happening in our selves. So it's kind of thing that happens. Positive experiences, especially if they have a sense of freshness about them, increase the release of the neurotransmitter dopamine. While you are taking in the good, you typically prolong dopamine inputs to your amygdala. This sustained release of dopamine make it react more intensely to good facts and experiences with associated signals to your hippocampus, saying essentially, this is a keeper. Remember this one. In some, whether through your cingulate cortex, insula, amygdala, or other parts of the salience or executive control networks, repeatedly taking in positive experiences will likely make your brain stickier for them, which will increase your positive experiences, making your brain even stickier in positive circles. The reactive mode. Then there is the other setting of your brain, the one that evolved to keep our ancestors alive when they were disturbed by threats, loss, or rejection. Multiple neural systems continually scan for any sense that something's wrong. Any sense that one of your three core needs for safety, satisfaction, and connection is not being met, while the responsive mode is our resting state. The negativity bias makes us very vulnerable to being knocked out of that state and into reactive mode. Perhaps you feel comprehensive or exasperated, pulled in different directions, or left out or criticized. This disturbs the healthy equilibrium of the responsive mode and triggers the reactive mode, the rate setting of your brain, which evolved to help your ancestor to escape the eager jaws of predator, scrabble for the last bits of food, and protect babies at any cost. In the red zone, the amygdala sends an alarm both to your hypothalamus to release stress hormones and to your sympathetic nervous system for the hyperarousal of fighting fleeing or fighting. If there is a history of trauma, the amygdala could instead trigger extreme parasympathetic activation to initiate the hypoarousal of freezing, numbing, or dissociation. The neural circuits our ancestors used for a raw survival light up today when we are worried about money, we are feeling pressured about a project at work, or hurt by or now frown across a dinner table. The reactive mode assumes that there are urgent demands, so it's not concerned with your long-term needs. In this disturbed allostatic state, which ranges from subtle to intense bodily resources are depleted, while building projects such as strengthening the immune system are put on hold. Adrenaline and cortisol goes through the blood, and fear, frustration, and a heartache color the mind. At the same time, the negativity bias is heightening the storage of the negative experience in your implicit memory. In a broad sense, the reactive mode is the neural foundation of craving, by which I mean coming from a sense of the deficit or disturbance, and the suffering and harm it causes you and your others. See table 3 for a summary of the features of this setting of your brain. Someone has joined and went. I even didn't realize who was that. Stuck on red. The natural biologically best rhythm is for animals, including us, to spend most of their time in the responsive mode. In the background, the negativity bias is operating, creating an inclination toward association, occasional reactive bursts. These bursts are posted to end quickly, one way or another. The reactive mode is a departure from the responsive baseline, and we are designed by evolution to return to this baseline as soon as possible. Just entering the red zone trigger neurochemical processes involving natural opioids, nitric acid oxide, and other chemicals designed to to green bring you home to green, followed by a nice long recovery there. Even though reactive experiences feel bad, as long as they follow the evolutionary blueprint, infrequent, brief, and usually hey, very welcome to live streaming. Whoever is watching, we are about to end this live streaming after 9 minutes, but thank you very much. You joined. Today I was feeling very not sad, I can say, but the thing is that I was just checking that someone joined or not. But as usual, people joined most of the time. There were so many people, I guess 14 people. I don't know if they joined or rejoined, but there were so many people who joined, and it when you see people are joining, you feel good. But when you see that there are no people who is joining, so it's let's see if people are joining or not. So sometimes it happens, but it's okay. I'm improving myself by reading it. My main intention is to read, improve myself, and besides that, it's side product will be my YouTube. So if I'm going to say if I'm going to be on live on YouTube, then it's kind of I'm utilizing my reading time and having YouTube as well, so that I can have both of these at the same time. Basically, I've been reading the books for, I guess, 35 days, more than 35 days, and earlier it's been 13 days now for our reading challenge on live streaming. But before 13 days, I was reading personally only. I was reading by my own. And when I read at the time, I thought, let's read on live streaming, because anyhow I'm reading, so I should take these on YouTube so that people can also get motivated and they can also read it. Now, by seeing consistency of another people, we tend to motivate. So I thought, let's motivate people so that people can read as well as, and I'm gonna get most of the things from YouTube as well. So this is my thoughts basically, but basic in the sense, the eventual goal is to grow myself in speaking, in reading, in talking with people, in having communication in English, all related things I'm having. I want really to have these things in me. So that is my basic purpose, that is my eventual purpose. And yeah, it's very awesome when you are performing your everyday challenge and you are completing each day. When you see yourself completing each day and you see that you have completed these particular days, then it will make you feel more awesome, more like fulfilled, more challenged. Not a challenge, I guess, but yeah. So that was very awesome. Let me like complete these. How many chapters are there? 13 chapters are there. And let me check my charging in my laptop. The natural biologically buzzed rhythm is for animals, including to us, who spend most of their time in the responsive mode. In the background, the negativity bias is operating, creating an inclination toward occasional reactive bursts. These bursts are supposed to end quickly, one way or another. The reactive mode is departure from the responsive baseline, and we are designed by evolution to return to this baseline as soon as possible. Just entering the red zone triggers neurochemical processes involving natural opioids, nitric oxide, and other chemicals designed to bring you home to green, followed by a nice long recovery there. Even though reactive experiences feel bad, as long as they follow the evolutionary blueprint, infrequent, brief, and usually moderate, they will likely have few lasting consequences. So we read it already as well as we read it again. So I thought that I didn't read, so I started reading it again. But it's okay if you read sometime twice thrice, there is no problem. You'll get to know or you'll understand it more. Let's say if you didn't understand some sentence when you were reading earlier and you understood afterward, then it makes like, oh, that's awesome. mm, Unfortunately, much of modern life violates this ancient design. While most people are no longer exposed to the intense pressure of predation, starvation, and lethal conflict, we do commonly face ongoing mild to moderate stressors, such as doing multiple things at once, processing dense incoming streams of information and stimulation, racing from here to there, working long hours, and rapidly shifting gears with little time for responsive recovery between them. In the wild, regular exercise helped clear stress-based cortisol out of the body. But sedentary lifestyle allows cortisol to keep circulating, which increases reactivity in a vicious circle. Modern economies require consumerism. So you are continually encouraged to chase more rewards. Meanwhile, the news is full of pains and perils you can't do anything about. All this puts the brain on a high alert. It's ancient reptile, mammal, primate, and stone age circuits keep flashing red. Something is wrong. Watch out. Due to the negativity bias, these experiences are swiftly encoded in neural structure, and because of our unique human ability to sustain states of mind unrelated to our immediate environment, internalized psychological factors such as a sense of inadequacy about getting everything done in time can keep you feeling stressed long after a challenge has passed. This also I have experienced, like the things which is related to, let's say, if something like you are saying harmful, then your blood gets faster, your heartbeat gets faster, and you feel very anxious about something. It happens, not nowadays it is not happening with me, but somehow, like, I'm just trying to make myself, like, trying to. Actually, I don't know from whom I'm getting a call, which is, so I just got distracted. But anyway, we are going to complete over 2 hours. Then only I'm going to end these. Like it's almost 1 minute. Like after 1 minute, it will be like end. So it's fine. So where I was reading, so what I was saying basically, nowadays also, like some when I am in meeting, I literally focus on my body language, and I'm really concerned about that just because of my past experiences. But I'll somehow manage to somehow will manage it so that I shouldn't do it again. I should feel comfortable. Like nowadays I'm feeling very comfortable while being in meetings with people. Like I feel like good, not I can't say the good, but when I'm in meeting at the time, like I don't feel anything. I'm just okay to say, or okay to talk in meeting, but I'm sometimes concerned about my body language. So that's the thing that is like happening with me. So anyway, that's the thing. Now we are about to end our chapter, I guess. No, it's not about to end chapter, but the thing is that we have completed our para, and I guess it's time to wrap up the things because our time is end. And sorry for my this voice. Sometimes it happens when I don't eat food, and whenever I'm very hungry, at the time I feel it. But anyway, thank you very much if you were in my live streaming, and see you tomorrow in the morning or in any next video, whichever you are going to see.